Hello everyone, and welcome back to a new episode of Prismata. Let's jump in the queue and see who we get. I checked, by the way, and Aye Sir is not rated nearly as highly as I thought. He is in fact rated lower than I am, in the top 200, but not the top 100. I have to say, it seemed to me like he played that game well. Aside from getting the third engineer, which sure looks wrong to me, despite the fact that it clearly beat me quite convincingly. I guess he was just right. String versus Stalker. Oh, there, yeah, see? 116. String versus Stalker should be a good game. I watched the end of a game in between the last episode and this one. I saw a Shadowfang player clusterbolt himself, which is not something you see very often. I mean, like, obviously you clusterbolt the opponent, right? And, like, you just happen to take the 1 damage because that's how clusterbolt works, but usually, in my experience, Shadowfang players would like to receive as little damage as possible, right? Like, defense matters a lot more than offense to Shadowfang players. They have plenty of offense, just like an Amparilla player. Anyway, he did end up losing the game, so I could well have been wrong. So what's going on here? I don't think Apollo is gettable, so we can sort of ignore it in terms of how all the other stuff plays out. It would be really cool to get an Amparilla with Ossified Drone defending, but I don't know if you can do that. Vivid helps, of course. Like, here's the thing. Shredder, Cauterizer, Ossified Drone, these all kind of support Amparilla, right? Even Smorkus, if you like get to a point where you can't spend your red anymore, you can dump it into Smorkus and just give up on buying Ampos ever again. Vivid kind of supports it, but I'm worried if I get all of these things, he'll somehow Apollo me. I don't think that's very likely. Scorch is also a possibility. It's really like, do you go Scorches or do you go try to get Apollo? Or Amparilla. I don't have to make that decision yet, but next turn I will have to. So I should think about it here. Whoa. So, like, okay, yes. On paper, Apollo is good against Amparilla. But actually, in practice, it's very, very hard to get an Apollo against someone who's attacking you for a bunch every turn. Right? So I think I'm just going to do that. I don't see any justification for the third engineer, and we punish it with an Animus, right? So do that. The only justification I can see is, like, Shredder is a defensive unit. I mean, there's a lot of defense here, it must be said. But that's not good against Amparilla. So what are you going to do against Amparilla? And the only answer I see is Apollo. Is Shredder enough defense to let you get Apollo? I think not. At any rate, I don't have to worry about building Vivids because I'm going to have much more Apollo vulnerable targets than that. Namely, of course, the Amparilla and the Tarsiers. I don't know normally whether you're supposed to snipe Tarsier or Vivid. They're like both pretty good snipe targets. I think you usually prefer to snipe the attack if like it's kind of late game, and snipe the economy if it's kind of early game. Let's see here. Next turn, build 2 more Tarsiers. But I can't build an Animus if I get this Vivid. And I clearly need the Vivid. I need more drones. So I'm doing this. I was trying to figure out when I can turn the corner into building a second Animus. It's not next turn, but probably I could the turn after if I wanted to. Actually, I could build a blast forge next turn. I don't think that's good. I only have 11 drones. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm committed to this Amparilla line now. I can't let him scare me. I guess in a way, Vivid also supports the Apollo plan, right? All right, now next turn I can go TTA. Yeah, or maybe TRA. I don't need 6 Tarsiers after all. Just to let me absorb the Shredder he may build. He's probably building a wall, right? Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here comes the Apollo, but I think you're going to be too late. I can build an Amparilla every turn. Well, okay. I only have 12 drones, so not every turn, huh? I could cut a Tarsier here if I could find something good to do with it. Maybe this is good enough? That gets me up to 13 drones. But I guess ossifying 0 drones is pretty poor, isn't it? Alright, Tarsier it is. Yeah, I mean, you can't really cope with 12 damage a turn, I don't think. I guess we'll find out. I don't see him backing out of this in any way. I wish I had one more dollar, though. Oh. Okay. But I don't mind. I don't have to build my Amparilla right now. Do I? Can't I just do this? Kill both your Shredders next turn? I guess if I do this, I'm not getting Amparilla, huh? Because I have to either, like, build some defense or kill these guys by clicking this. In which case I don't have enough red. But here's the thing. What is he killing every turn? Just 2 engineers, right? That's all. Or a rhino or something. And I'm perfectly resilient to that. Whereas I'm killing a shitload of stuff. Killing $10 worth of stuff. Right? He just has $6 to work with, and I have more than that? Yeah, let's just, like, build all the NGs. Well, maybe not all the NGs. He'll hold a Shredder back. Whatever. I can kill the Shredder anyway. This is like just too ambitious. I'm not gonna be able to build an Amparilla next turn. Who am I kidding? Just build all the NGs. Yep. So he gets the Apollo. But I can just do 8 damage, killing both Shredders. Or I can like try to kill some of this stuff, but actually it's not really possible. So I just do this. And I can't get the Amperilla this turn. Who cares? I can get it next turn, right? He's not attacking for anything. And even if he's able to snipe Amperilla every turn, my first Ampo arrives before he's ready, and he's not attacking anything. Like, I have more attack than he can deal with even without the Amperilla, right? So I'm pretty okay with this. Can he really attack with everything? I'm threatening 14, 15, 19 damage next turn. I don't think I need to worry about this Gambit, right? And even if, like, that involves him sniping Vivid Drone instead of Tarsier, or Ossified Drone, which he's never gonna do. So the only downside here is this. There's no downside. This is just free. Clicking the Ossified Drone. Yeah, good luck with this, bud. I mean, of course I have to click all the Smorkases to deal the full 17, but that's something I'll do if I get a Breach. I don't need to replace my Amperilla. I guess he's gonna poke the bear, huh? Yeah. Well, I guess let's find out if I was right. Am I gonna do this? Seems pretty good. I mean, this is an option. He snipes the Ampo and gets a turn off. But like, I'm still attacking a bunch, aren't I? Do I need a wall? Not really. I have enough defense. I'm attacking for 6, 8 at least. More if I click Smorkases. Triple wall. I mean, he can defend. It certainly is possible for him to defend. But I can just get the Amperilla going again, right? So that's one line. The other line is to say, fine, you know, keep your stupid whatever. I'm just going to do this. You know, keep a Steel Splitter. This seems unassailable. How could I possibly lose from this position? The other position seemed very, very good. But this is just unbeatable, right? I just pressed Q and nothing happened. There's no drones left. Nice. 15.8? This guy must be rated pretty high. I've never heard of him. Huh. Well, I mean, I think there's not that much to analyze in this game, right? It turned out exactly as I predicted. Yeah, here's this bug again where it's showing, like, my opponent making the emote that I made. He did make a good luck have fun emote, but it wasn't mine. He made his first, so maybe just, like, the replay viewer only knows about one emotes. Oh, I wonder. I bet since this is my replay, it just saves that an emote was made, not and who made it, but not what skin they had when they made it. And I bet that it's based on my currently equipped skin. Let's test this real quick. My emote, I should say. So let's change my color here to. It wasn't shiny. Let's make it velvet, right? Or the background, whatever. Now let's go watch the replay again. It's velvet now. Okay, so that solves the question. The problem. Now I understand why the emotes act weird in replays. Alright. Maybe send them a bug report or something. They probably don't care too much. So anyway, I think that I was right when I concluded that Amparilla beats Apollo. You just don't have time to get out the Apollo. And that's in, like, if you imagine base set with just Apollo and Amparilla and no other units. Like, that's your base +2. I think neither one of them gets bought. You just, like, build Tarsiers and walls, and you're never far enough ahead that you can get an Ampo or an Apollo. But if your opponent tries to get Apollo, for some reason, that's enough room for you to get an Amparilla. I don't know. Is that true in base +2? I think you just, like, can't get either of them in base +2, right? If your opponent goes Apollo, anything wins. Like, maybe just more Tarsiers wins. Amparilla might also win, but you don't need it. Anyway, the point is, Apollo's too slow. It gives the Amparilla player way too much room. It's very, very strong once it comes in, but it's too late. You've already lost. Especially with Vivid Drone to make Fastimus so much stronger. Right? I'm now, like, $2 up from where I would have been. And now $3 up. Which really helps me. Look at that. That Osprey drone is so sad. I don't know. Maybe this is still good just to get an absorber. And 13 drones. So I can start building Aparillas. But if he responds with, like, Shredder, Shredder, Splitter or something, which is what he did in the game, I don't know. I guess I can just build 2 engineers every turn forever. And just keep building Tarsiers until he finds a way to do something. Maybe this would have been fine. It does leave me more prepared than what I actually did in the game. I had to, like, build a Rhino. I couldn't build the Amparilla anyway, right? So maybe this is actually, like, this silly idea with a 0 drone ossified is actually the right idea. I can just build, like, 2 Tarsiers and 2 drones and say, like, all right, I'm wasting my Animus. You got me. But in the meantime, like, what has he done? This is assuming that he gets attackers, right? If he gets Apollo, I just build the Amparilla. And then next turn I can build defense. Or maybe more Amparillas. Because he'll have had trouble defending. He won't have been able to build any attackers the turn after Apollo, right? I'll be hitting him for 10. Yeah. So maybe this actually would have been the better approach. It looks silly, but it's a way to get a 1 health absorber on the field. Or a 2 health absorber, i.e. an absorber for 1, while also getting enough economy to Amparilla forever. I also could have considered not making this a Vivid, just make it a regular drone so that there's still stuff to ossify. It costs me $1, but it saves me 2 drones, which are kind of useful to ossify. Yeah, that actually would be pretty cool, because I don't need the $1. I have 13 already, and I need something to spend my extra red on. Huh? That could be actually a pretty good play. I mean, Ossified Vivid might also be a good play, just like I said, having no drones to ossify, but who cares? We're just way ahead on attack. And we have better tech than the opponent? I don't know. This seemed like fine also. It clearly beats him getting Apollo, and so he went for attackers instead, which made me slow down a bit. But Smorkus is good too. And he just like had... yeah. It sort of was a loss at this point. What about my build? Anything I could have streamlined here? I think the first 4 turns are pretty unarguable. Unless you could like consider cutting the Vivid here? Is there some reason to do that? It would basically mean I have $1 extra this turn. What would I use $1 for, right? Nothing. I could buy a Vivid with it, but that's just like transposes with buying Vivid last turn, and it would be strictly worse. So I think I agree with turn 4. Turn 5, that's the question turn we've been looking at for a while. I'm not sure what the right approach here is, but I think every approach is winning, more or less. It kind of stunk to have no engineers on that turn. Is there a way I could have done better? Well, instead of the ossified drone, I could have built an engineer, I guess. But I mean, then I would sack the engineer onto Rhino when he attacks for 2. But then I'd need extra... I'd still need more defense, right? Because he threatens to attack for 3. I need more than just the 1 engineer. The ossified drone protects against his threat of 3 attack. It lets him exploit me by attacking for 2, but like, oh well, you lose in that case anyway, right? When did I get my 13th drone? It was here. So what happened on this turn? This is kind of an interesting one, right? Got a 7th Tarsier and a drone to bring me up to 13. Sure. Okay, well, whatever. Let's stop looking at this game. Oh, very fast match. Capulet Killer. This is the player I was talking about at the beginning of the game, the Shadow Fang player who cluster bolted. Not to say that that's always bad, it was just a surprise when I saw it. So what are we doing here? Doomed Wall is decent absorb. Landstooth and Oxide Mixer are good absorb denial. Blood Rager also good absorb denial. Grimbotch fits well with Blood Rager, and so does Ferritin Sack, I think. Let you get into blue a little bit. Antima Comet? Like, I don't know. It just doesn't seem right to me. I don't think you're gonna really have a good opening to do that if your opponent's just building Tarsiers, Blood Ragers, and Grimbotches against you. So there's definitely a blue strategy that seems okay, but I think that the red plan does pretty well against that. Yeah. I think I just want to go Fastimus here. And we'll get 2 Tarsiers and then like Grimbotch, Ferret, and Sack plus drones to fuel the Blood Rager, depending on what he does, I guess. Blue. I love to see blue here. I think. Because it means he'll have walls, right? Oh yeah, well, he'll build a splitter instead of a wall, of course. But Rhino is fine instead of Grimbotch for the first one. Yeah, so he's gonna aim for Lance Tooths, I guess. Perfectly reasonable. Although I might have preferred to get Oxide Mixers somehow as him. So here's an instance in which maybe I'm taking the wrong lesson away from the why did I lose against Silene Undulata, or with her, I should say, not against her, where she pointed out to me that like a Lance Tooth denying Absorb to a Rhino is great, and a Lance Tooth that could have killed 2 Engineers is like poor. I knew, of course, that it was poor to build a Lance Tooth into 2 Engineers, but it's not as bad as I thought. And denying 1 Absorb is better than I thought. So my thinking here is that instead of building a Rhino, to offer the very clear play of a Lance Tooth getting good value, I should maybe build a Grimbotch and an Engineer, so that you either just kind of build a crummy splitter, or you let me get away with this and save $1 and build a better attacker. I think this is worth a try. I'll be able to defend somewhat comfortably next turn with like walls and a husk if I need to, but I don't think I will. Just a wall should be plenty. In fact, maybe I won't even build the wall yet because it's still going to be a comfortable time for Lance Tooth. I'm going to try this. And, you know, maybe this means I learned the wrong lesson, but at least if it doesn't work out, I'll understand the lesson better. I know I published that video, like, I don't know, gosh, probably about a week ago, but I recorded it earlier today. So, I'm still eager to try out things that I think I learned to broaden my understanding. All right. So I can just build a wall here, and then you can Lance Tooth me if you want, right? I I can't do anything clever with double Blood Rager or anything. That's just not possible. So the other thing I could do is just not pop the Ferret and Sack. And now, like, the Lance Tooth value is just not that good. It's okay. It's denying a Rhino. But you have to hold back your Splitter to make that good. Which I guess you're happy to do, actually. This is good defensive tempo. But if I build a wall, it's just really, really good. So this Ferret and Sack is just going to have to wait for a while. I think. Let's look at what a turn involving wall would be. It would basically be like this, right? It looks pretty cool, but I think it gets exploited pretty badly by Lance Tooths, and so I'm just not going to do that. I'm going to build a little bit less attack. To get more economy and save my Ferret and Sack for later, when it will be a bit more useful. There we go. We were getting 0 absorb anyway, so the wall was not so great. The downside of this play, of course, is that it used up a bunch of my red on not building as many attackers. But it let me get more drones, and I'm perfectly happy with those as well. In fact, I could now double Lance Tooth. Whoa. That actually... double Blood Rager? That actually is good. And I have the defense for it, right? Even if you build another Gauss Cannon, I can still do that. And I'll still have the Ferret and Sack around for the next turn when, like, suddenly Doomed Wall becomes good. Okay, well, against this I can no longer double Rager, I think. If you're going to actually build attack. Or build, if you're going to actually attack me. Yeah, this is not a thing I can do. But I think it's now finally time to wall. I would like another Ferret and Sack someday. Because Doomed Walls are going to be pretty good. But I don't want to build one now. It just gets exploited too badly. I mean, I guess I could leave this bet. No, I want to build it. We've made this person wait enough to build attack, right? They can build a Lance Tooth if they want here. If I build a Doomed Wall, it's just too good. And if I hold these back, it's just like I'm in enough trouble. Oh, they have Blood Ragers. Whoops, I forgot about red. But I still have a lot more attack. I'd like to find a way, by the way, to Blood Rager against this Doomed Wall when it expires. So I'll have 3, 5, 7 damage next turn, right? And this person will be absorbing for at least 6, perhaps 7. Actually, I'll have just 6, because I'm holding back the Grimbotch, right? So double Rager next turn is looking pretty good if I can find a way to defend it. So I definitely don't want Grimbotches. I could just do like this. These Rhinos will provide sufficient defense, I think, along with holding the Grimbotch. Yeah. And then I'll be able to build my Doomed Wall the next turn. Am I getting exploited somehow here? Like, you could build Rager Lance Tooth. That's good, but there's nothing I can do about it. And it is kind of actually not good because you're not defending very well that way. Yeah, you're not defending, in fact. This might have been too many engineers. I don't know. I should have counted more, but it just seems like such a strong double rager that I thought, how could I possibly lose if I can get a double rager and defend it? And so I didn't calculate the details, but of course I should have. I think this double blood rager ought to be life-ending. I don't know. I'm looking forward to it anyway. Come on, end your turn. I want to do it. Why does he want a ferret and sack? Okay, just a wall, sure. That is better. I'm still denying you 6 absorb, though. You might consider building a rhino to make my double blood rager play a little bit worse. I don't know. You don't want to build no defense, I think, because then I'll just, like, breach you and kill a drone. Maybe a force field would be good. Since you're getting no absorb anyway. No, but I'm just building... He's absorbing 4 regardless, no matter what he does, right? So I think even if he lets me breach, I should double rager? Is that really true? Yeah, because I'm only attacking for 6 anyway, not 7. I'm not getting to a drone because I'm holding a Grimbotch back. So I'm double ragering no matter what he does. I think it is thus correct. Oh yeah, of course. You're holding back your splitter because it's not doing any damage if you're blood ragering. Okay. I think I'm still ahead. Oh my gosh, the overteching is real. I actually have more drones somehow? Good old Fastimus econ, huh? I think a doomed wall is fine here. And just get more blue. Actually, this blue is arriving on the turn that my doomed wall expires, which is a really bad time to have blue because he can blood rager it. No, it's fine because my wall will be dead already and I'll want a new absorber. And like, if you want to try to double blood rager me when I'm like beating down your door, I guess go ahead, right? I think this is better than building more attack. I already have plenty of attack. And here, I'm quite comfortably defended. I don't know, build a conduit? That was a cool game. I felt like pretty smart in that whole game. I don't know if what I was doing was good, but it sure felt good. I think being player 2 helped. I think this stuff is pretty good. I think against a Fastimus, going blue is pretty dang dangerous. I think you ought to try for the red mirror. And like, Blood Rager is the kind of red unit that benefits from having a somewhat higher economy. So it's not like you'll be way behind having wasted a turn. You know, you want to build Blood Ragers, you want to build doomed walls and stuff. Having some more drones is great. So, I don't know. I think DDA would be better here than DDB. This turn is, you know, not necessarily the best turn. You could argue that the Ferret and Sack was a bit early and more Tarsiers would have been good. But I really wanted to get the option to have a wall when I need it. And I wasn't sure how soon that would be. And additionally, I wanted some more drones because, as I said, Blood Rager likes high economy, or high-ish, and you know, if you build a Tarsier here, you can't get the drone. So the Ferret and Sack ended up sitting around for a little while because of the Blood Rager, the Lance-Tooth threat, but not for too long. I think it was fine to build it early and just have it lying around. I think this is a play I definitely would not have made prior to discussing my league match with Silene Undulata, right? I thought that a Lance-Tooth that denies 0 absorb is just so dreadful that you would never build it, and therefore you would always attack the 2 engineers. And also, I thought that a Lance-Tooth that denies 1 absorb is like mediocre. But actually, that's not really true, right? Because when you compare the damage to the Steel Splitter, like, let's say you were... By denying 1 absorb, is that the same as dealing 1 damage? Sort of. Kind of. It's really like the opposite, though, right? I mean, why think about it this way? Let's just, like, put some numbers in, right? If you're attacking for, let's say, 5... No, let's not look at it that way. Let's say your opponent is losing an engineer, as I would be here if I had a Rhino. You kill it, and then you build a splitter. And then you attack with the splitter next turn. You've killed the engineer, and you've dealt 1 damage with the splitter. And then the turn after that, you still have a splitter, right? So you're dealing 1, and then 1, and then 1. If you Lance-Tooth instead, when you would be killing 1 engineer, you don't kill that engineer, and then next turn, you're still not doing the 1 damage that the splitter would have done. So you're doing 0 and then 0 and then 2. And then 2. So you catch up on the 4th turn compared to building a splitter. But you can actually do quite a bit better if you can, like, continue to deny absorb on the next turn by building another Lance-Tooth or something. Because then the 1 damage the splitter was doing is actually inconsequential. So, I don't know. It doesn't seem that amazing to me to deny 1 absorb with Lance-Tooth, but I guess it's actually fine. So anyway, the point is that, like, I would have previously built a Rhino here instead of Grimbotch. And that, I guess, is something I wanted to try doing differently. Grimbotch is just a much better unit. And it will eventually deal 1 more damage than Rhino, right? Plus I'll get 1 more gold. So it's really worth it if I can get my opponent to let me get away with it. Here, the opponent chose not to, but in exchange, like, had to build a Gauss cannon instead of... was this wall? Had to just build a crappy single attacker instead of, like, a Lance Tooth, which was a double attacker. I'm sort of okay with that. And it was perfectly comfortable for me to keep defending. And it turns out they wouldn't have built a Lance Tooth even against one Absorb, apparently. No, they needed a Doomed Wall. They were just so over-teched, they couldn't really ever actually build Lance Tooths, is the problem, right? Under-droned and over-teched. So maybe I should have built the Rhino here anyway and said, look, you can't actually... I don't know, they could Force Field plus build Lance Tooth. Would maybe be fine. But if so, why didn't they do it next time? I don't know, it's a mystery. So I'd like to experiment further with this idea of... I think I may be applying this idea too broadly. It's probably usually good for them to kill 2 engineers instead of building a Lance Tooth. Unless those engineers are doing, like, basically nothing for me. Here, they're doing a little, right? These engineers are making it possible for me to keep building attackers, right? I had to, like, build some pretty crummy stuff because the opponent killed my engineers. But, you know, if you want to, like, slow both of us down while I have 5-6 attack and you have 3, I'll take it. Let's spend as many turns as you want in this state. That's my opinion. So maybe this was fine. It was kind of a cool idea. I'm glad I tried it. I'd like to see in future if I can figure out in what kinds of situations it's good and when it's not. And here, the wall is just, like, offering too much value. Got him to continue not building attack. That's kind of nice. And then... what about this turn? Yeah. Here's where I noted, like, look, the Doomed Wall's timing out. Better get that double Blood Rager ready. Which means not building any immediate attack. Just, like, super slow stuff. And defensive stuff. Yeah, I think this was a killer turn, although I was already well ahead. Yeah, I think the most interesting turn of the game was this one, where I decided to offer the 2 engineers when I could have easily protected one of them. Still don't know if this was right. Okay, cool. Well, enough looking at this. Indeed, enough watching of Prismata at all for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.